Over the years, Pokemon has introduced us to countless trainers. The community has definitely taken a liking to some specific trainers, like Hexmaniac. Hexmaniac's redesign of Pokemon X and Y, I remember breaking the internet, and to this day, still has an enormous chokehold in this community. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet also introduced some newer archetypes of trainers we haven't seen before, like Muscle Mommies. We also had a surprise guest appearance of Mars Critical, but not every trainer can be iconic. Some are just kind of there. Youngsters, bug catchers, hiker, sailors, all these different archetypes, which not as iconic, served a purpose in the past games. The previous routes in Pokemon were limited, and Game Freak made sure to use that space as much as they can. Each route felt like more of a maze or a challenge you had to get through for each major city. Let's go to Pokemon Platinum. On our way to Jubilife City, we have to go to the Route 202 first. This is the beginning of the game. The blood is pumping, the air smells like the morning of a school field trip, and you have nothing but you and your Chimchar on your side. You walk up past some grass and you're encountered by your first random trainer battle. He walks up to you and he says, "You're a Pokemon trainer and so am I. Our eyes met, so battle we must." This line in particular is what sort of identified trainers in the past in Pokemon. They were aggressive. The moment you saw them, the moment you locked eyes with them, you guys were battling. So that means youngster Tristan wants to smoke. So we beat him and his Carly, and we steal his lunch money. And then on our way to Jubilife, we're still trying to enjoy the fresh air, maybe catch a Bidoof, but then another Jit gets in our way. Last, Natalie. She wants to catch these hands, so we beat her and her crappy Bidoof. Just as her Bidoof takes her final breath, we stare at those little beady eyes and take the money from her owner. And continuing on our path, we run into Logan Paul. Young Logan Paul. Tell that man do not film in the forest and do not open up Pokemon cards. We have to fix this crappy timeline. After we destroy the scammer, we can finally make it to Jubilife. But in Scarlet and Violet, they are mainly on the main path, and they aren't even mandatory. Which, if you're like me, you're not staying on that main path because you're climbing up that mountain to see what's there. At this point, random trainers aren't stopping your journey. They're politely asking if you have time. That's a major change since everyone before just wanted to smoke the moment they saw you. Not having them around as much also makes the world feel a lot more empty. In previous games, I feel like even in the middle of the forest, the sea, or even the desert, people were around you. Random trainers helped the world feel alive, as you really felt like everyone was trying to be the best, and no one ever was. It made the world feel more competitive. And in Scarlet and Violet, the random trainers just have no aura. They're just there. Exploring Scarlet and Violet feels a little bit more lonely in certain parts because of the lack of trainers. In the old games, they would purposely add trainers so you were forced to fight them while trying to get to the end of the route. The random trainers used to indicate how far you've come since the beginning of the game. Like in the beginning, you're literally just fighting children who spawned in with the Bidoof, but by the end of the game, you're fighting like Ace trainers, Dragon Tamers, and other trainers that have just a much stronger team. You won't be finding Youngster Joey in the Victory Road. He's just not him. They also padded out the game time. Realistically, each route in Pokemon would have just been a 2-minute walking simulator, and there isn't really much of a reason to explore Game Freak's 2D environments. It's just limited and there's not much to do. Trainer battles is definitely showing its age though. Getting EXP has been easier than ever before, and Game Freak just gives you a lot of XP for anything now. Ever since X and Y, you started gaining XP for catching Pokemon. If you're like me, you try to catch everything you can. Your party can just level up just as good without trainer battles. And in my playthrough in Scarlet and Violet, I barely did any of the battles and just focused on exploration and catching Pokemon. And I had no trouble with the game. So why fight them now if it's not mandatory? There really isn't much of an incentive to fight them. And Pokemon's aging battle mechanic doesn't really give me the urge for combat. I mean, when the stakes are high, like fighting the professors in Scarlet and Violet, or Volo and Legends of Arceus, I actually enjoyed battling. But against little Timmy, not so much. And with the introduction of Pokemon Arceus and so on, it seems like Game Freak was dancing with the idea of potentially getting rid of most trainer battles. A lot of fans did not like this about Arceus. One of the biggest critiques was that there was barely any trainers to battle, which is ironic since it has arguably one of the best trainer battles in all of Pokemon. Even if Game Freak listened and added more characters like PokeFan Brandon, adding more characters to battle doesn't really do much for the game. It holds it back. I think the reason for the death of trainer battles is just a change in Game Freak's game design. With the open world starting to become a bigger priority for Pokemon games, exploration and catching Pokemon just seems to be a bigger focus. I mean, trainer battles are starting to take a backseat. I think we see this in Pokemon ZA. ZA is first and foremost exploring Lumio City Simulator and catching Pokemon. Battling trainers just so happens to be there because it's part of Pokemon's identity and part of the story. I would argue that the battle royale aspect of the game is the worst part of the game. It ends up being repetitive, but not in a good way. Catching Pokemon in a Legends game is a good loop, but battling trainers isn't. So if you're Game Freak, what can you do? I don't think Game Freak can do anything. I don't think Game Freak can capture the old feel of trainer battles anymore. Adding more trainer battles and making them mandatory would just make part of the game feel more of a chore than anything. The random trainer battles were a mechanic designed for old school Pokemon, and I'm starting to think they don't translate too well in newer gens. They're just there, but worse. I mean, maybe we can make the trainer battles we do have a lot more interesting with stronger Pokemon than you, or have the AI in a way just a lot tougher, but the current way they are, they add nothing to this game. With the release of Pokemon Champions this year, I think I can see Pokemon possibly heading in that direction. I think Game Freak might tell all the battle nerds to go over there, and the new mainline games focus more on single player exploration and content. Legends Arceus showed us that battling others isn't as necessary as you might think it is. Pokemon doesn't need to fill its routes with trainers anymore, since the open world design has replaced it. It's replaced it with a lot more wild Pokemon, stronger wild Pokemon like alpha variants, raid battles, and more. I'm excited to see what Game Freak does with the next implementation of trainer battles. I don't know if we'll get the same implementation of Scarlet and Violet, or maybe they'll try to do the new and spice it up. But let me know what you guys' thoughts below, and let me know if you would miss if trainer battles disappeared. Let me know if you think if trainer battles are necessary anymore.